All right, welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're going to talk about the one simple tool that can stop a digital project from completely spiraling into chaos. I'm talking about the wireframe. Seriously, if you've ever watched a project go off the rails, you're going to want to stick around for this. Let's get right into it. So let's start with a question that probably haunts a lot of us, right? Why do so many digital projects get delayed or go way over budget? You know the story. You kick things off with a fantastic idea, you've got a talented team, a clear goal, and then, somewhere along the way, it all just starts to unravel. I mean, does any of this sound familiar? The endless cycle of revisions, scope creep that just keeps growing and growing, stakeholders who just can't seem to agree, and user flows that make absolutely no sense. And my favorite, those small, last-minute changes that turn into massive, expensive headaches. It is so frustrating, isn't it? But what if there was a way to actually avoid all of this? Well, there is. The solution is to start thinking like an architect before you even think about laying a single brick. It's all about creating a clear digital blueprint. And that's exactly what a wireframe is. It's an architectural blueprint for your website or your app. The whole point is to strip away all the distracting stuff, the colors, the images, the cool fonts, and force everyone to focus purely on structure, layout, and function. Think of it as the literal skeleton of your project. And the impact of doing this, it's staggering. Just think about the most painful part of any project, those endless revisions. The data shows that teams who use wireframes properly see about a 35% reduction in revisions. Imagine that, cutting over a third of your rework, a third of those painful feedback loops, just by planning the structure first. That is a huge win. And it doesn't stop there. It's not just about the rework. Those same teams, they launch their projects around 40% faster. Getting to market that much sooner can honestly be the difference between success and failure. So these two numbers, they tell a really clear story. Solving problems on a simple blueprint is way, way cheaper and faster than trying to solve them in code. Okay, so let's dig into the core idea here. Why is stripping everything back to black and white so incredibly powerful? Well, it all comes down to focusing on function first. This is really where the magic happens. By taking away all the visual distractions, you force a completely different kind of conversation. Instead of arguing about, which shade of blue to use, the team has to focus on what actually matters. Can a user accomplish their goal? Is the navigation clear? Where does this button go? You start solving the real usability problems right from the get-go. And just think about what this does for teamwork. A good wireframe becomes this shared source of truth for everybody. Designers can communicate their structural ideas without getting bogged down in pixels. Developers can look at it and anticipate how features will need to work. Writers can see exactly what content they need to create and how much of it. All of a sudden, everyone is looking at the same plan, which just eliminates so much guesswork down the line. Now, a wireframe isn't just one single thing. It's more like a process that evolves as the project evolves. So let's look at how this blueprint gets more and more detailed through 3 key levels of fidelity. So it all starts with low fidelity. Think super rough sketches on a whiteboard or a piece of paper. This is all about getting ideas out fast without getting attached to them. Then you move to mid-fidelity. This is a more structured, clean, grayscale layout. It's perfect for getting clear feedback. And finally, you have high-fidelity wireframes. These are the really detailed, annotated documents that tell developers exactly how everything should work. Each stage has its own very crucial purpose. Okay, so you're probably sold on the why at this point, so now let's get into the how, the practical playbook for doing this right and, just as importantly, avoiding the common pitfalls. Look, a great wireframe doesn't start with drawing boxes on a screen. It starts with asking questions. You have to do the research first. Who are our users? What are the business goals? What are our constraints? And from there, it's all a cycle. You create a version, you get feedback on it, and you refine it. This process of iterating over and over is what turns a simple sketch into a rock-solid plan. And here are some golden rules. Okay, do keep the level of detail appropriate for the stage you're in. Do write little notes or annotations to explain how things are supposed to behave. And most important, do test your ideas with actual users. On the flip side, please avoid the temptation to add color too early. It just distracts everyone. Avoid sloppy, inconsistent labels, and never ever just assume your layout works without actually testing it. And the great thing is, you don't need super fancy software to start. For those early structural ideas, a tool like Balsamiq is perfect because it's designed to keep things looking simple. Then, when you need more detail and collaboration, that's when you move to the industry standards like Figma or Sketch. And for the really complex interactive stuff, you've got heavy hitters like Axure. The key is just to match the tool to the job at hand. So, let's bring this all home. Let's focus on the final takeaway here, which is that this process is truly your blueprint for success. I absolutely love this phrase from the source material. Wireframes are high-leverage artifacts. That is the perfect way to describe them. They're not just another document to check off a list. They are a tool where a little bit of effort up front pays off, exponentially, later on by saving a ton of time, money, and frustration. And really, that's the bottom line. When you have the discipline to figure out how it works before you decide how it looks, you are fundamentally de-risking your entire project. You get your team aligned, you solve problems when they're cheap and easy to fix, and you build a foundation for a much, much smoother launch and a better final product. And that kind of leaves us with one final question to think about. As you look ahead to your next big project, just ask yourself this. Are you just diving in headfirst and hoping for the best? Or are you taking the time to build it on a truly solid foundation?